So, as you can see, today I'll be talking to you about simple basic principles about earning. Now, the first most important thing that I'll be sharing with all of you here is that, as you can see right on the screen, so intentional wealth is about focused actions towards well-defined goals for wealth. The first goal is to create wealth. We cannot talk about wealth in general if we are not creating it. So the first most important part of it is how do we create wealth. The second most important thing is how then do we amass, accumulate, and how do we grow more of that. Then is the essence of gain wealth, and also if it cannot be consolidated and sustained. So sometimes some people create it, they amass it, they even grow it, yet they're unable to protect, they're unable to even distribute it. And when they die, and that is a problem you see in Africa, where the first initiate. So thus one needs to have a long-term strategy in place to grow one's assets and manage risk within their portfolio. So first and foremost, we cannot talk about intentional wealth, we cannot talk about planned wealth, we cannot talk about becoming wealthy or rich if we cannot earn money. So before we talk about it, so this conversation is for people who are learning to earn some money. So we are talking about people who already are earning something. So you cannot even start that process if you don't have an earning habit. And I'm going to take you through step by step. So the first component is to understand one's income or revenue stream. Now I'll take you through all the revenue streams and the income streams possible for you. This is about the cash inflows from a job. So some of you be a job, some self-employment or return on various investments, what we call portfolio income. Though one can start to spend, save and invest, it all starts from how much money one makes. So a lot of times you hear this thing about frugality, that we need to have a lean expenditure. We need to learn how to spend and all that. Before you can talk about spending money, then definitely you need to learn how to earn. So my first step today is to teach us and for us to understand how we need to earn money, source of income. By the time we are done with this meeting, every single one listening to me should at least have 2, preferably 4 sources of income, and I'll break it down for you. What you see here is a personal economy of every one of us listening to me. In most of us, in our lives, we have our income, which we call in accounting the cash inflow. Then we have the expenses or the expenditure part, which is a cash outflow. In economics, where we have land, labor, and capital. For most people who are born into rich homes, they start life with capital already. Some of you start life with land. They have buildings, businesses passed down onto them. Whereas the majority of Ghanaians and majority of people, they have neither land nor capital. So all they have is labor. If you are listening to me and you find yourself in that category, you are still not left out. Wealth is still a possibility for you. And I want to prove it to you economically first. I'll prove it to you financially and even accounting-wise. So what I'm saying from this simple diagram that you can see here is this. Let's assume that you do not have land, you do not have capital, all you have is labor, which simply means that you are giving your time to earn money. That is what you have, your skills. It's time against money. When you do that, you receive salary for some of you. Some would also earn it through other means. I'll show you all the revenue streams. Now, what makes the difference is when we get to spending. But let me open your eyes at this stage for you. People earn from their labor and then they start spending their earning. In their spending, that is where the difference is made between who is having an intentional wealth and who is living by default. In this world, you live either by design or you live by default. For those who live by default, they are people who allow days and time and chances to just happen to them. Those who live by design are people who are deliberate, intentional, planned, and they put all the odds in their favor. So what people do is that in their spending of their income, they spend only in their past. They spend in their present, and some spend in their future. Past as what? We have post-paid and prepaid. We have the current bills that are on your table. Only a few invest into their future. So if you were born without land and capital, then you need to put in a system which I'll show you that you can spend and still have some to invest and eventually earn land and capital, which would eventually give you beyond an active income, what we call passive income. Now let me come back to the main presentation and show you some few points here. We have what is called the active value is the commission. For some of you, is some regular dividends or profits that comes in. That is actually your active income for you. So your active income is a reliable, regular income that comes in. So come what may, you know that money will come in. A passive income is an income where you don't have to fully commit your time. So active income, often you spend your time, your skills in order to get it. It's regular, it's reliable. Passive income, on the other side, you do not have to physically, even sometimes, be involved. You may not have to necessarily spend your time so much there. It could be the bonus or the surplus, or your money can simply be working for you. Portfolio income is actually a subset of passive income, but specifically, it is about diversified assets. So for individuals, some of you can earn dividend income from stocks that you own, or you have equity in certain businesses. You can also earn income from your paycheck salary. We have rent from any rental and estate. So rent, for example, can be a passive income. You build an estate and then you rent it out. Royalties from selling rights and books and stuff. Those who are into artistic and creative industry, you can have a lot of royalties. Capital gains from selling appreciated assets. This one is the example of portfolio income. Profits from business, interest from CDs, fixed deposit bonds, and treasury bills, and the rest. And those of you who are into businesses, I didn't leave you out. You have what we call the markup or the direct or the indirect sales revenue. You have the transactional revenue, arbitrage. You have the licensing. You can get commission, which you are aware, rent and lease. Subscription revenue, like you see with Netflix and all the DSTV and the rest. Ad-based revenue. If you have a website or a YouTube channel and stuff, you can get all these. Fee for service, you're aware. Interest from what you're doing, donation and grants, project revenue. Freemium to premium. So normally freemium to premium is that revenue where they tell you the first 3 months is free of charge, and then after 3 months you begin to pay. So if you start with Netflix, for example, they let you enjoy it, but you commit with your credit card or your debit card first, and then you start enjoying it, and then they'll start charging you after a period. Then affiliate revenue is what you often see with these network marketing and other AdSense, and you go to Amazon affiliates and stuff, you're also able to get it from there. So these are some of the sources of income that you can have. So now let's move quickly to the savings and then to investment. So the focus of wealth management, therefore, is first to provide financial stability. That's the main reason why we want to have this. We are trying to be deliberate with our finances, because nothing is going to happen out of the blues. And security, while acting as a portfolio adjusting tool by ensuring steady and reliable income streams. So first and foremost, before we can talk about multiplication and acceleration of our wealth, we need to have that financial stability. In other words, our family is fully cushioned. The bills are covered. All the bills, transport, food, or whatever is all covered. Then we look at multiplication and how we can become very rich. So that's the first step. And then we come in as a portfolio adjusting tool by ensuring steady and reliable income streams. We use a very good example for all of us. When you read the book of Genesis, there were 4 rivers that watered the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden, actually the penultimatum garden. It is supposed to be the garden that had literally everything. This garden that was green and fresh could not survive with one river. It took 4 rivers to water the Garden of Eden. And yet, most of us believers are thinking that we would be able to survive on just one source of income. So for a very good example, if the Garden of Eden had to survive on 4 rivers, then you as a Christian should do more than having just one source of income. The second goal is to develop and build long-term capital growth while building one's own legacy assets, which hold personal significance in the wealth map. So this one, I'll take my time here quickly and then I'll explain to you. So now, what we're going to do is that you're going to learn how to first have an emergency fund. Then you go into the next stage, what we call the contingency fund. Then the next stage is what we call the buffer fund. These calculations, for example, in my book, I take my time to explain it in details with very, very clear examples how you could plan it. Because I have a very short time, I would quickly go through as much as I can so that you get the most out of this session. Now, with the emergency fund, what I advise most people to do is that for the next 24 months, save 20% of your salary. So you save it for the next 24 months. So let's assume, preferably, if you can, I would even go for even the 30%. Preferably, I would advise that you go for that. If you save for the next 24 months, and you have, so let's take it that you took 1,000 Ghana cedis, okay, which is definitely more for most of you, by 1,000 Ghana cedis, and you are saving 30% of it, okay, which is 300 Ghana cedis. 300 Ghana cedis, if you multiply 300 Ghana cedis by 24, it's 7,200. Now, I'm going to show you in the financial plan model that I'll be showing you here, that in my financial advice or wealth management I give to every single person I manage, I tell the person to do as much as possible not to spend beyond 60% of your active income. I've explained to you the 3 levels of income. If you can learn to live within 60% of your active income, then what it means is that if you spend within 60%, then 600 Ghana cedis of that 1,000, so 60% of 1,000 is 600. 600 by 12 is 7,200. What it means is that if you are able to first save for emergency fund for 24 months, then for the next 1 year, God forbid, but if you dare lose your job or your active income is cut short, you can survive for 1 year without a problem. We never wish that for anybody, but we take lessons when people, I always say, when you see mighty people fall, don't laugh, learn. Now, the lesson we can have here is that bad things can happen to any one of us. Job was a good man, yet he went through. It can happen to all of us. So therefore, we need to prepare for such days. Go to the ant that plants in and out of season, because if there is day, there is surely going to be night. If there is actually wet season, there's going to be a dry season. If there's a moment of abundance, there's going to be a moment of lack. And that is the reason why COVID-19 and the pandemic has taught all of us that you will never know when a pandemic or something big will hit you. So you do the 24 months and then that will help you. Now you come and you do another 24 months for contingency fund. Now your contingency fund is not meant for your sustenance. Your contingency fund is meant for the big blows in your life. If something big happens, that is where you fall on that one. Then your buffer is the money that you put in. So I will give you normally a 60 months plan where you do the buffer for also like something like 12 months. So these two will help you, whilst this one will help you to survive for at least a year in case you lose your job. So for the next 5 years, anybody listening to me who has not put up any financial plan, it looks long, but I'll be honest with you, it will come and it will hit you. Okay, so when it comes to investment, basically, when it comes to investment, the first most important thing that people miss is what we call the investment outcomes and investment choices. A lot of people, after they've been able to save a little bit of their money and they want to invest and they are looking, so some of you may have done all these things, you even have some seed capital, have some money, you don't know how to go about it. The first thing that you look out for is that your investment choice is what is going to determine your investment outcome. So for you to do it, there is a personal assessment that all of you could go through quickly and be able to determine for yourself what is your risk appetite. Please, let me say this thing on record, and all of us need to understand. Not all of us should be entrepreneurs, and not all of us should be salaried workers. Some of us have to quit our 8-to-5 jobs, whereas some have to stick with our 8-to-5 job. It is totally different paths for different people. You would have to do an assessment of yourself. If you are wasting your time with an 8-to-5 job, you would have to plan and quit it. Whereas some of you may want to move out of the 8-to-5 job, but because of your risk appetite, I would never advise you to go there. Stay in your 8-to-5 job and put in better plans, because your risk appetite would not help you when things get tough. So if your risk appetite is very low, then you are someone who wants to play it safe. There's nothing wrong with it. Even with you, you can still become a rich person, and there are ways that you can do it. Now, there's what we call the risk-reward concept.